Yesterday you returned a shirt, you stuffed it back in the box, printed a label, dropped it in a bin at Whole Foods, and walked away feeling responsible. Done, handled. But what actually happens to that shirt next? Here's something most people don't realize. A huge share of the products sold on Amazon aren't actually owned by Amazon. They belong to independent sellers who just rent shelf space in Amazon's warehouses. And that detail matters a lot for what happens after you hit return. Let's pretend you slipped a tiny tracker into the pocket before giving it up. Where would it end up a month later? The answer has less to do with whether your shirt was damaged and more to do with something you never see, a set of rules written down long before your shirt ever came back. First, your shirt gets picked up with hundreds of other returns and trucked to a return center. Think of it like an airport security checkpoint, but for used stuff instead of people. Every item gets scanned, unboxed, and inspected for tags, packaging, and wear. Based on what they see, your shirt gets a grade. Looks untouched, tags on. Stamped like new, back into regular inventory. Slightly worn, labeled used and shipped to a discount storefront. The kind where shoppers hunt for deals on slightly imperfect stuff. So far, this is the tidy version. This is what's supposed to happen, but here's the twist. Long before your shirt ever showed up, the seller who owns it already answered a question in a settings menu somewhere. One that decides what happens to returns like this. The choices are simple. Send it back to me, sell it off cheap in bulk, try to refurbish and relist it, or just get rid of it. Here's the part that breaks people's brains a little. If a seller never bothers to pick one of those options, the decision doesn't just sit there waiting. Amazon steps in and decides on the seller's behalf, and depending on the item, that could mean donating it, selling it off in bulk, shipping it back, or simply disposing of it. Not because the shirt is ruined, because nobody told the system what to do, and for a lot of items, especially anything bulky, slow selling, or cheap to replace, doing nothing quietly tips the scale toward the trash. If your shirt dodges that fate, it likely gets swept into liquidation. Depending on who owns it, Amazon or the seller sells it off in bulk, packed into a pallet with dozens of other random returns for as little as 5 to 20% of its original price. That pallet gets resold again to smaller stores, the kind where you buy a mystery box and hope for the best. And if none of those paths work out, the shirt heads toward its least glamorous ending, recycling, energy recovery, or, in unlucky cases, a landfill. So, back to that tracker. In one real investigation, journalists hid trackers inside a dozen actual returned items sent back to Amazon. A month later, only a third had made it into the hands of a new customer. Some were stuck circling warehouses, one turned up at an electronic waste facility, and one, a backpack in mint condition, tag still attached, ended up in a landfill. Not because it was broken, not because nobody wanted it. Its condition was only ever one variable in the equation. The rest came down to ownership, logistics, and economics, decisions made long before you ever printed that return label. So, next time you drop off a return and feel that little hit of, well, that's sorted, remember, whether your shirt gets a second life or a one-way trip to the landfill was never really about the shirt. It was decided in advance by someone you'll never meet, filling out a form you'll never see.